Hi, and welcome to this edition of the Insurance Experts. It's my pleasure to have on the live Steve Antman. Steve is an insurance professional and he's been in the business for many years. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Okay, first I want to ask you this question. I know you've been in the marketplace for a long time. I know you're a believer in long-term care planning, but how did you first get into the business?
Well, I was an agent, a captive agent with the Equitable in 1985 through 1997. And towards the tail of my career with Equitable, I had an opportunity to get together with a group of colleagues, and we decided we were going to study and go out and get our long-term care license because you need that to be able to offer that to your clients. So that's really how it started.
Okay, and then I know you became an independent agent, meaning you offered many different companies' products. What inspired that move?
Well, great being with the company I was with, but I like the idea of being able to offer a broad range of products and services rather than coming to a meeting and saying, this is what we want you to sell your clients today. I
Right.
didn't.
So you like the fiduciary type of approach, client-centric orientation.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, back in the mid to late 90s, it was kind of the emergence of the long-term care market, right? It started to boom at that point, and it's changed a lot since then. So how would you kind of describe the changes in the market from when you started the business and today offering long-term care planning to your clients?
Well, back then, the big fear amongst clients was it's so expensive, I can't afford it. Rates are going up through the roof. Well,
Hmm.
it's come 360 where it's
Yeah.
different type of offering now when it comes to the products. They're more geared towards pricing based on age, not on the experience.
Right. And I know we talk about this a lot. I would say back in the 90s, the average age was in the mid to upper 60s. And now today, the average age is actually in the mid 50s. So it's come down in terms of the age of people buying it. And I think it's because of the reason you said. It's almost like your health now buys you the insurance. Is that what you've experienced?
No question. People say, well, I could afford it. And I say, well, I know you could afford it. You have the means to do that, but it's your health that really qualifies for the long-term care. Looking at what, 40% that are being declined out there.
Right. So the earlier you do it, the more likely it is you're going to qualify, and of course, you're going to get the best deal that way too. So I know you recently worked with somebody who was on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? She was in their upper 70s. Tell us a little bit about that client and what your experience was taking her through underwriting today.
Well, she had approached me because she was in her apartment where she gets together with a lot of other uh, property owners, if you will. And she was saying, Steve, everybody's getting long-term care insurance. I want to talk to you about long-term care insurance. I said, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. And great woman, as you said, 78 years old. And we got together. She had some issues with her hips and her back, but everything looked great on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And it's showing improvement from chiropractic visits that she was receiving. And what happened was she had gone to a therapist because during underwriting,
Mm-hmm.
she got some physical therapy. So her medical records, when they were retrieved by the insurance company, saw that she was just in physical therapy. And unfortunately, she was declined.
Right. And they're like detectives. They look for this data. They try to figure out if this person's going to qualify, and they're much more they're scrutinizing much more than ever. So of course, working with an insurance expert, a specialist, they can help find you the right carrier that's going to accept you based on your health conditions.
Yes, and I always say, tell an insurance company everything you know and everything they could find out because
Right.
they will find out. She said, Steve, I didn't know this was going to happen. My muscles failed during underwriting. Uh,
Yeah, you can't predict it. But it can, of course, now a lot people buy it a lot earlier now that we talked about a lot younger ages. And I know you yourself actually relatively recently purchased the policy a few years ago. Tell us a little bit first about, in your family, what your long-term care experience has been like. What have you seen in your family?
well, a few years ago, my father had gone on claim.
Mm,
Benefits were paid out. My father's since passed,
hmm.
and now my mother's on claim, and she's in an assisted living facility not far from here. So she's on claim and receiving benefits. So it's kind of really charged my battery to realize how I could help people and give them some financial security through long-term planning.
Right, and you've experienced yourself. The number one reason people approach their insurance agent about long-term care is because they just had a personal experience taking care of their parents. And you represent that, obviously. You're dealing with that now. And I know you bought a policy as well. What did that policy look like?
Started out with a $5,000 a month benefit. It's a shared care benefit that I have with my wife. It's 3.6 year benefit. Right, start out with a pool of about $215,000. Figure by the time we're in our 80s, it'll be over $400,000. It was a nice fit, and I have to tell you, I'm so happy I got it when I did.
Right, I know that peace of mind is important. It probably costs you, what, $500 a month combined for you and your wife to get that coverage. So not as expensive as what most people think, right, when they think long-term care. And you're a representation of the kind of a client that buys it too.
At that age, yeah, 4 years ago. So no, in my mind, the premium we laid out for a 6 month, we're paying $2,800 every 6 months. It created a pool of 215,000 right away. So it was a good move. I wish I had done it sooner, but better late than never.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's probably a good way to wrap it up is, it's important to do long-term care planning as soon as possible. If insurance is the right fit for you, of course, Steve is here to help you. And I really appreciate you joining us today on the Insurance Experts. I hope to have you on the next episode as well.
Thank you, Mark. I'd enjoy that.
Take care.
Thank you. You too.